spoke here at the UN, I drew a red line. Now, Iran has been very careful not to cross that line. But Iran is positioning itself to race across that line in the future at a time of its choosing.
And we are back with Iran's Foreign Minister, Javed Zarif. What did you think of Prime Minister Netanyahu's remarks at the United Nations?
Well, unfortunately, some people find it in their interest to deceive the international community and to conduct a policy of fear-mongering. Israel has been pushing the line since 1992. Probably you can find even an earlier version. I haven't. What I've seen is since 1992, Israel has been saying, and most of it has been Netanyahu himself, that Iran is 6 months away from a nuclear bomb. Now, what is it, 22 years from 21 year from 1992, we still don't have a bomb. We won't have a bomb because we don't see it in our interest. And it's interesting. Israel is one of 3 states outside the NPT. Israel has a clandestine nuclear weapons program. Israel is known to have 200 warheads, at least, nuclear warheads. And it is interesting that that regime has the audacity to go around in the international community and introduce a member of the NPT who has been in full compliance with its NPT obligations of being a nuclear threat. Everybody knows that Israel is a nuclear threat. Its arsenal, its nuclear arsenal, is a major security threat to the region and to the world. And in fact, several NPT review conferences, starting with the 1995 NPT review conference, which allowed all of us to renew the NPT, and then continuing in 2000 and again in 2010, they have all stressed, with consensus of the international community, in fact unanimity, that all should join the NPT. All non-nuclear weapon states should destroy their stockpiles and should join the NPT as non-nuclear weapon states. And it is interesting, really, for him to be going around making these lies, trying to basically sweep under the rug Israeli practices that are the major threat to the security of the region, major violations of the most basic rights of the Palestinian people, just in order to create fear. Why is it that he's worried about a deal where the international community can monitor Iran's nuclear program, make sure that it's never weaponized?
I'll tell you what.
He should welcome it.
His argument is, and he quotes from President Rouhani's book, where he says, this was the strategy, he says, Rouhani adopted the last time he was negotiating. And the strategy was, and he's quoting from Rouhani's book, he says, by creating a calm environment by negotiating, we were able to complete the work in Isfahan. Isfahan is a place where there's a major reactor that actually has been a critical stepping stone in the Iranian program. And so Netanyahu says, in other words, he's saying we fooled the world once, now he thinks he can fool it again.
No. What President Rouhani said in his book, and I have read and edited that book several times when we were both out of office, is that you cannot pursue a peaceful program when the entire international community has concerns and anxieties about your program. You can, in fact, and this is our argument, you can, in fact, pursue a peaceful program only with the cooperation of the international community, only through transparency. This is exactly the opposite of what Netanyahu is trying to portray to the world. He's been lying, he continues to lie, he's been, in fact, investing in creating fear and anxiety in order to pursue ulterior motives.
What did you think of President Obama's statement with Prime Minister Netanyahu in Washington?
Well, I believe political leaders have to exercise leadership. I was rather disappointed that President Obama used language that was insulting to the Iranian people. I believe President Obama should in fact stick to his declared intention to deal with Iran on the basis of mutual respect. That's what he said in his letter to the president. That's what he said in his address to the General Assembly. You do not deal with another state with mutual respect by threatening them, by trying to intimidate them, particularly when you know that that is not useful, that is not of any utility. As I said, the Iranian people react very, very negatively to such languages of threat and intimidation.
Do you think that this nuclear deal, if it happened, could be a step toward normalization of relations with Washington? The reason I ask is it's difficult for me looking at how anti-Americanism is so much part of at the center of the regime, the death to America chants that take place every Friday, the references to America as the great Satan. Do you want to come to terms with the country that you call the great Satan?
What I want to say is that we have a bad history of mistrust, a history where we had a good number of activities on the part of the United States, starting from the overthrow of a popularly elected government to whatever happened during the Iraq War, unfortunately the use of chemical weapons by Iraq, and the failure of the United States to respond with the necessary enthusiasm, unfortunately, as it's doing now, to those chemical weapons. In fact, there was an attempt by the United States to sweep that under the rug too. So there's a lot of cause for concern on the Iranian side, and there may be cause for concern on the American side. So we have to move in a serious way to deal with those concerns. But the most important and immediate problem that we need to face right now is the nuclear issue.
Javed Zarif, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Farid.